Hey LinkedIn, my name is Aiden Schwetz, and about 3 weeks ago, I was laid off from my social media marketing position, so I had to go out and find a new one. And I decided to play the numbers game, so I applied for 100 social media marketing positions, and I decided to collect data on every single one, so I could, maybe find some interesting things. And I did, and I found really 8 really cool data points that I was able to collect. So to get started, I want to start with a couple base things. One, the qualifications for the jobs I applied for was one, they had to be either entry or management level only. So no executive, CMO level positions, and no interns or no internships. Even if they were paid internships, I didn't want to do that. So just entry or management. Uh, Second thing was it had to be within a 30-minute drive of Burbank, California. This is where I live. The third thing was they had to be jobs that were accepting applications between January 9th and January 16th. Um, that was more because I got laid off on January 8th, and it took me a week to apply for 100 jobs. So, yeah, that was more why that's there. And it had to be a paying position. So it couldn't have been like a management position that was unpaid or something. I don't know. There were a couple of those. So it had to be a paying position. So without further ado, here are the 8 data points that I found while doing this. Number 1, the total number of jobs requiring degrees out of the 100 was 35. 35% of the jobs that I applied for required degrees, which is a very small number. A lot smaller than I was expecting, honestly. I was expecting a lot more. When I went to apply for the job that I got laid off from, I think I applied to like 40 jobs, 40 or 50 jobs, and I remember a lot more of them being needing degrees. But my search range was way larger. It was like all of Southern California, from Santa Barbara to southern Los Angeles, like those huge range. So this is definitely a more concentrated area. And yes, I am reading off of my computer all the data points. Oh, one of the other qualifications that I required is that it had to be a position that was posted on Indeed or Craigslist. The reason I did this was because I wanted 2 very drastically different places for the jobs to come from. I know there are there's tons of other job boards, Monster and all those, but I felt like Craigslist was definitely like on like where you would find lower end jobs, and Indeed would be, at least in theory, much higher end jobs. So I wanted that contrast, and I just did every social media job I could find on those platforms first in the first 100. So whatever it came out to, and it came out to off the top of my head, 35 of them were on Craigslist and 65 of them were on Indeed. So out of the 35 on Craigslist, 12 of them required degrees. That's 34.2%. Out of the 65 jobs on Indeed, 23 of them required degrees, which is approximately the same percentage. 35.4% of the jobs required degrees. Fourth data point, the average experience needed for all 100 jobs was 2.6 years of experience. I felt like that was, I was like expecting that. I felt like it was a pretty normal number. An average experience needed for an entry level position was only 1.5 years, which was in theory, it's a lot. Like an entry level position, there should be 0 years of experience, and there were. Actually, let me look really quick. There were 3 jobs out of the 100 that did not require any experience at all. Data point 6. The average experience needed for a management position that I found was 5.3 years. Now, that is a huge jump from the previous entry level position, and I felt like this was a lot. 5 years of social media experience. Social media is not that old. I was gonna do this later in the video, but there was this one job that the only reason I included it was because it required 10 years of social media experience. And I'm thinking to myself, what does he want me to know? MySpace? Friendster? What is the requirement here? I don't understand. Fun fact, MySpace 50 million active users. When it comes to social media, what was around 10 years ago that's still so ridiculously important today that the experience is needed? I'm nothing. I can't nothing. It was the only one I could find that required that ridiculous amount of experience. There were two other jobs that required 8 years, and it's the same thing. Like, fuck, like, what? Going back to the 10-year one. So the job that required 10 years experience was not even a social media position, but it required 10 years of social media experience. The position was for someone to design and create PowerPoint slides or PowerPoint presentations for the company. And that was it. Nothing else. No social media posting, no scheduling, no marketing of any kind. Just the PowerPoint stuff. It paid $60 or $65,000 a year and required a bachelor's degree. I was astonished at this job posting. I was so astonished by this job posting that it needed 10 years of social media experience. It paid $65,000 a year, required a bachelor's degree, and only was making PowerPoint slides. Like, that was it. Like at the most, you would need like 1 month of Photoshop experience at most. 2 or 3 hour walkthrough of PowerPoint to be able to complete this. I mean, there's nothing. PowerPoint is not hard. In middle school, like, you could grab any fucking middle schooler and they make a PowerPoint. Like, it's so easy. And like, I understand maybe you need like a basic eye of design. So just basically any slightly computer competent person could do this job. Paid $65,000 a year. I was fucking astonished. So what I did was I called him. They had a phone number. It was on Craigslist too, which was weird. I thought it'd be on Indeed, but it wasn't. It was on Craigslist. And I called him and I was like, I have to ask. Like, this is so ridiculous. I had to ask. So I called the company, and the guy that picked up the phone was no less than 105 years old. Like, it was like cartoony, his voice. Like, not to like stereotype him or whatever, but he sounded like a cigar had not left his mouth in 4 decades. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, getting back to the data points. Data point number 7. Out of all the management positions, 25 of them needed degrees. That's out of 29. So 86% of the management positions required degrees. That's a super high number. Honestly, I was expecting it to be higher. I honestly thought they would all require degrees, but they didn't. There were 4 management level jobs that did not require degrees. And I felt like that was refreshing, glass half full. And lastly, entry-level positions that needed degrees. It's only 10 out of 71 positions. So that is 14%. 14% out of jobs. Social media, entry-level social media jobs requiring degrees. Now, I am on Reddit a lot. And I spend a lot of time in the marketing and social media marketing subreddits, and I swear every 5th post is someone asking, do I need a degree? What should I focus on? I'm doing a business degree. I'm getting my business degree, but what should I focus on? Or I'm doing marketing, or I'm doing entrepreneurship or whatever, and is marketing needed? A lot of them go unanswered because it's asked so often. But I hope maybe this video will help you guys. And maybe I'll post it on the subreddit. Lastly, I know you're going to ask me. I know I'm going to get a bunch of comments that say, well, what about how much each job paid? And, what was the average pay for all these jobs, et cetera, et cetera. I started collecting the data, but it was ridiculous. The amount of jobs that either had a super wide range. Like, I'm not kidding. There were jobs where the range was starting pay was like $30K up to like 75 or $80,000 a year, depending on experience, or an overwhelming amount of them just said depending on experience, just DOE. And I mean, I feel like 100 jobs is a really small batch to work with. So having to work with like the 30 or 35 jobs that actually posted how much, like a definitive number, um, was hard. Like that'd be a really skewed number. So the only thing I will be able to say is, out of all these hourly jobs, um, there's not a definitive number because I ended up I stopped collecting that data. Out of all of the hourly jobs, I'd say 20 to 25 of them were hourly based jobs, and out of all 100. And out of that, I'd say the average pay was about $15 to $16 an hour. Um, there were a few that were minimum wage. So yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought. So I hope I provided all of the data that I found for you. I hope this was useful, or at least informative. I found it to be super interesting. I am, biased. I'm definitely not anti college, but just that wasn't the route for me. So I was very pleased to find out that an overwhelming amount of these jobs did not require marketing degrees or any type of bachelor's degree. I thought that was cool, especially in reference or being able to respond to all the Reddit posts that I've seen, to all the LinkedIn people that are watching this, and a lot of LinkedIn people will be watching this. Reddit is an awesome online community. You should definitely check it out, especially the marketing and social media subreddits. They're great. Give them a shout out. I'll put a link right there. Probably won't be able to copy it. Just like type it in. So right now I have a lot of time on my hands. So I'll be making a lot of these videos. I already have made a couple others. I have a feeling this is going to be the first one I post because I really like it. I really liked this information that I was able to find. I will post a link to the document that I recorded everything on below. It'll probably be a Google Sheets document. Also have a couple of links to my other social channels that I'll start to be posting similar stuff on. And let me know other things in social media you want me to research or whatever. I don't know. Well, I like doing this stuff. This is fun. So I feel like LinkedIn is all a little stuffy. Not stuffy. LinkedIn is adults, and I'm definitely on the younger side, 19, diving headfirst into all this stuff. I felt like LinkedIn needed a fresh pair of eyes, and I like making videos, and I know videos are the highest performing content on the LinkedIn, so I'm making a bunch of these. I don't know. Tell me what you want to see. Thanks for watching this long. This is a pretty long video, I'm assuming. I mean, I've been recording for 20 minutes. We'll probably cut down to like 6 or 7. See ya.